A new report indicates that the unclassified executive office of the president has been hacked. In a report by the Washington Post, White House officials believe the attack was state-sponsored, but they're not saying what, if any, data was taken. Meanwhile, the 23-year-old man accused of jumping the White House fence a week ago was carried out of court shouting on Monday. He, along with a 42-year-old man who breached the secure grounds of the White House in September, along with those cyber attacks, raised the question, how safe is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Earlier, I spoke with award-winning journalist and author Ronald Kessler. I began by asking him if he thinks the White House is less secure now than it has been.
Absolutely, mainly because of the Secret Service's laxness and corner cutting. The hacking, I tell you, within the FBI, they say the only way to stop a hack attack is to not use the internet, and that's the truth, as shocking as it may sound.
Oh, I think that makes perfect sense. What do you think was behind the executive office hack? The White House is saying that they believe this could be a case of a state-sponsored hack. Any indications that that is the case here?
I think it's most likely Chinese or Russian, and they could get a lot. The claim is that the network was not classified, but to be able to read the emails of White House staff who often forget that they're on an unclassified network, or regardless, to see the strategy that's being plotted is a tremendous leg up for any country. And but much more serious is the Secret Service problem, where agents tell me from my book, The First Family Detail, it's really a miracle that there hasn't already been an assassination, given all of this laxness and corner cutting. The latest fence jumper incident actually shows the success of the Secret Service, but the recent incidents show that it really is a shocking situation.
Yeah, speaking of the fence jumpers, so we have these two cases of fence jumpers on White House grounds in the course of about a month or so. The White House security has received a lot of criticism, as you're pointing out, including the Secret Service. Is it fair to criticize them at this point, or is this something that all administrations on some level have to deal with?
It is fair. This corner cutting started actually under George W. Bush when the Department of Homeland Security took over the Secret Service in 2003. But it's gotten worse and worse, and we really could have an assassination, which nullifies democracy.
How do you balance the fact that you have this essentially a national landmark here? People want to be able to stand in front of it. They want to be able to see it, take pictures there. How do you balance between that and the security of a sitting president?
Well, in my opinion, you don't. You just make the White House safe. That's much more important than whether people can take pictures from a certain vantage point or a block further back. The White House needs much more security, and more importantly, it needs an outside director who will shake it up, change the culture, stop this corner cutting, which occurs within management. It's not the agents themselves, it's the management that has this very, very corrupt culture.
Okay, so you have the Secret Service, as you said, there's corner-cutting issues, but there are also, I think you're alluding to it here, some bigger issues. We have a lot of scandals surrounding Secret Service agents, their behavior when they go overseas, waiting for the president's arrival. We now have the investigator who's supposed to be monitoring that behavior, getting caught up in his own scandals. Is there a culture of corruption in the Secret Service right now that's affecting some of these other areas?
I don't believe it applies to most agents. The agents who engage prostitutes obviously were jerks, but they may have figured, hey, management cuts corners, takes risks that could result in an assassination. Why shouldn't we do whatever we want? On a regular basis, the management will tell agents to let people into events without magnetometer or metal detection screening under pressure from White House staffs or campaign staffs. That alone is absolutely unthinkable. It's like letting people into an airplane without metal detection screening. And yet that's something that continues to this day.
I want to go back for just a second with you on this issue of the hacks, because I think this is still an issue where, even though we have, obviously a much more visual story when you see someone jump the fence at the White House and they rush inside, how much insecurity is there when you have hackers who are able to access computer systems, email systems, but even security systems within the White House? Is that ever a threat at some point?
It certainly is. They could get tips on even our strategy in the event of a war, because people just tend to email whatever they're thinking, regardless of whether it's a classified network or not. And in fact, we've seen these hackers get into even classified networks in the Pentagon. So any leg up that another country has that might be a threat to us is of great concern.
Award-winning journalist and author Ronald Kessler, thank you very much.
Thank you.